something?
Honestly, as stupid as a stupid does.
They're not wrong, you know. All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Shifty's 49ers Talk. This one goes out to Niner fans near, far, NFL fans, sports fans. You all are welcome here. Today, we are breaking down the Niners' big 23-17 win over the Dallas Cowboys in Jerry's World. It was awesome. It was a lot of fun, a lot of highs and lows, but a great win for the 49ers as they will now move on to the divisional round for a huge matchup in Lambeau Field against the Green Bay Packers. But before we preview that game in another video, let's talk about the Cowboy game. Alrighty, so how I want to break down this game is I want to talk about the 49ers offense, the performance there. Then I'm going to break down the 49ers defense and then the 49ers special teams. And then we will very quickly go over some of the Cowboys as well. So with the Niners offense, we had the perfect start. In the first quarter, we received the ball typically. I think myself, like most NFL coaches, prefer to kick the ball away to start the game, but we lost the coin toss. We received it, went down, hit him in the mouth, scored a touchdown. Perfect dream start for the offense. What I loved on that drive is we threw so many different looks at the Cowboys defense. You know, we had Debo in the backfield on some runs, of course Elijah Mitchell, some quick passes, a lot of different looks, which gave the Cowboys defense a lot to think about. Overall, the performance for Jimmy Garoppolo, very, very up and down. Started up, played really well in the first half, very efficient, was hitting his passes. The second half, usually, which is actually where Jimmy Garoppolo tends to excel a little more, was not good at all. That interception that he threw was awful. I said it on the stream. I think it's one of the worst passes I've seen, and I'm actually not really going to go away from that. It was an awful pass, especially when you consider the context of the situation. We're trying to wind the clock down, just close out the game, and he throws a god-awful interception. Lucky for Trent Sherfield, but threw it about maybe at least a foot or two over Trent Sherfield, so that was really bad. And then, of course, we have to talk about the big miss to Brandon Ayuk, where Ayuk just ran a nasty route, got so open over Trayvon Diggs, and if Garoppolo hits him, then, that would be a huge gain and probably could have also sealed the game right then and there. Look, at this point, we've had Garoppolo on the team for a number of years. We've seen him play over 50 games with the 49ers. This is what Garoppolo is. We know he can perform in the clutch in a number of times, but then he'll have some really boneheaded, head-scratching plays. So it is a reason why we ended up trading up to draft Trey Lance, because Garoppolo is just, he'll just make some passes that just leave you wondering like what the hell is going on. Overall, yeah, really a tale of two halves for Jimmy G. Really efficient in the first half, second half, not good. If he comes out and plays like that again at Green Bay, we're not going to win that game. That's for sure. Let's move on to the run game. So Elijah Mitchell definitely had a very efficient game. In the first half, he was really getting chunks of yards. You'd see like 6 yards here, 7 yards there. Had a really nice touchdown run where he got a number of really good blocks by Juszczyk and by Ayuk, and of course the offensive line. Later in the game, I think when it was a lot more predictable that we were going to be running the ball, of course that one of the last couple of drives of the game, you could see Elijah Mitchell's average really drop, but that was because we were in very obvious running down situations. So overall, very strong performance, and really excited to see what he does against a Green Bay defense that's not necessarily the best against the run. Of course, we got to talk about Debo in the run game, 210 rushes for 72 yards, and of course a big touchdown. Had that big touchdown after the K'Wan Williams interception. Debo's just a monster. Average 7 yards a carry, and just comes up time and time again in the big situations. It's no wonder why we see Shanahan go to Debo when it's 3rd and 3, even running the ball, even when everyone knows we're going to do it, still goes back to it and still manages to pick up a good chunk of yards. In terms of receiving, Brandon Ayuk was by far the standout player. He was owning Trayvon Diggs all game long. He had a really nice route, and Jimmy actually hit him. It was for about maybe like a 35-yard gain. I believe that was in the third quarter, if I'm not mistaken, the second or third quarter. And then also could have had a huge pickup if Jimmy Garoppolo just managed to hit him when he put that double move on Diggs. Overall, Ayuk ended with 66 yards, which you're thinking, okay, that's not fantastic. But overall, we weren't really, throwing the ball very much. I think Garoppolo had under 200 yards passing. And of course, Ayuk could have easily had a 100-yard game had Garoppolo hit him on that pass. But Ayuk was amazing all game long, getting open in that man-to-man coverage. Debo, pretty quiet game, but had a couple of nice catches. Jawan Jennings came up with a couple of big plays also on third down, which is what he really has turned into, is just Mr. Third Down. Kittle, I feel like, was more likely used as a decoy for most of the game. He really did take up a lot of the attention from the Cowboys defense. Did have a nice, I think it was 11-yard gain in a big moment, but beyond that, he was mostly used as a blocker. Then when we talk about the offensive line, amazing. Just the offensive line was incredible. No sacks given up, which is actually, I believe, the first time in 49ers playoff history that a quarterback didn't get sacked. I might be wrong on that, but that's what I believe I had heard when I'm looking at the stats for this game. Not only that, overall the offensive line played really well, bar a holding penalty here, false start here and there. Overall, the offensive line was phenomenal, and if they can continue this performance going into Green Bay, I think we actually have a shot to win that one. Now let's get into the defense. So the defense played an amazing game. All things considered, the Cowboys coming into this game were the number one offense in the NFL. Not only scoring, but yards per game. And for all intents and purposes, we shut them down. In the first half, Dallas did basically nothing bar one drive where they had a really nice throw from Dak to Amari Cooper. But beyond that, the defense was incredible. The Cowboys couldn't get anything going for the entire first quarter. I think at one point near the end of the first quarter, I think they had negative yards, which was just insane. The defense was flying all over the place. But not only that, look at when the second half, when Nick Bosa went down, the other players really stepped up. And time and time again, whenever I do previews for games, we all know Nick Bosa is going to garner a lot of attention from the offensive line and offensive schemes. So the other guys have to step up. And today they did, on Sunday they did again. They were incredible. Omenahu with the sack and a half. Armstead was everywhere again. Ebukam had a solid game. Arden Key was in there making plays. Jordan Willis too. So everyone, we're so deep on the defensive line. And of course, then you have to mention the likes of DJ Jones. Kevin Givens was pretty solid in there too. So really impressive performance by the defensive line. Kept Dak, under pressure a lot of the time. Could never really get comfortable. Dallas was able to run the ball with some success. They were getting decent chunks, but they just kind of went away from the run game for whatever reason relatively early on. So I think that really played into the 49ers' favor. Looking at the linebackers, they were really solid too. So Fred Warner, although he did have a missed tackle on Ezekiel Elliott, which could have forced a big fourth down, but Zeke actually managed to kind of get around and pick up the first down. Warner was pretty solid. Greenlaw had a couple of big plays where he would come up and make a tackle. And overall, the linebackers, solid, not spectacular, but they didn't give up any huge chunk plays, and they were pretty solid in the run game. So overall, got to be happy with the performance there. The secondary, oh my God, overall the secondary was phenomenal. I mean, I think they targeted Ambry Thomas once or twice. Emmanuel Mosley was really solid in coverage, gave up a couple of passes, but that was more so when we were in prevent defense, very soft zone coverages. K'Wan Williams gave up the big touchdown to Amari Cooper, but came right back later in the game with that big interception that set up the Deebo Samuel touchdown. And the safeties were really solid. The one play which I wasn't crazy about by the safeties was the touchdown pass to Amari Cooper, where Jaquaski Tart, I believe, was in single high safety, and the Cowboys basically sent receivers to either side of the end zone. He kind of didn't really choose either side. I think at some point you just have to choose a side, and whichever you think is the more favorable matchup for the Cowboys. He didn't do that. It was a pretty easy touchdown, great throw and catch, by the way. But overall, the defense was amazing. D'Amico Ryans called another fantastic game, and the Cowboys could just never get anything consistent consistently going, even after being put in multiple bad situations. Overall, the defense was great. So really happy with that. And they're going to need to have another big game once we go to Green Bay. And fingers crossed that we're going to have Bosa and Warner ready for that one, because we're going to need them. Finally, special teams. Robbie Gould, fantastic. Just like really consistent, hitting multiple 50-plus yard field goals. Very, very reliable. We have to be feeling good about that, especially if there's going to be some key situations where we're going to need him against Green Bay. But against Dallas, beyond Robbie Gould, it was a train wreck as far as I'm concerned. Mark Nazacha with the huge roughing the kicker. Now, of course, we didn't give up any points when Dallas got the first down because of the roughing kicker, but the field position completely swapped. They were about to punt, I believe, from their own 7. They ended up getting a couple of first downs, and then we ended up starting within our own 10-yard line. So big swing in momentum, and luckily we didn't give up any points because of it, but just an awful play that you just cannot do in the playoffs. Now, even worse than that was Josh Norman, and I don't know what in the world was going on with Josh Norman on that play. Now, look, you can, criticize Mark Nazacha, but he got very close to blocking that punt. And if you block that punt and get either great field position or return it for a touchdown, that could be game, set, and match. So I have to respect that to a certain degree. But Josh Norman was about the only guy on that play in special teams who just didn't really know what the hell he was doing. I think, of course, the special teams coaches are covering for him, saying like, oh, hey, he got beat on a route. Now, I mean, I don't know how you get beat that badly. Everyone else on the play for the 49ers on that fake punt pass played it perfectly. Like everyone else was in position, but Josh Norman just, I don't know what he was doing. So, yeah, there have to be some major changes there. Ideally, Josh Norman is not out there, probably not on the field. Again, I said this in the stream. I believe that he should essentially be a glorified cheerleader, someone to be on the sidelines to give the guys, maybe some confidence, maybe to hype them up and what have you. But I'd ideally like to not see him out there come Saturday against Green Bay. So that's going to about do it for the breakdown of this game. Overall, look, when you can get a playoff win on the road after some of the struggles the 49ers had this year and after Garoppolo not having a very good game, I think you take that 10 times out of 10, no matter what. Like, if you win by 1 point, if you win by 20 points, whatever it is, I think you have to take the win and be happy with it, especially on the road. We're going to now have to go to Green Bay and basically do it all over again, where we have to get really hyped up. Ideally, we can set the tone early, similar to what we did against Dallas, whereas the first time we played Green Bay week 3, they just jumped out way ahead of us. So if we can play a similar, if the defense can play just as well, if we can tidy up the special teams, and if Garoppolo can maybe not have a terrible 3 passes or so, I think we actually have a shot to win that one. But overall, that's going to about do it, guys. As you all know, the butt counts, and we're going to catch you on the flip side.